Sí, ya hoy es la última clase de esta semana, ¿no? Y la semana que viene tenemos lunes y miércoles festivos, ¿no? O sea que no nos vemos hasta la siguiente, que no sé muy bien ni cuándo es, pero ya nos ponemos en la segunda semana de diciembre. Bueno, de esto, a ver qué era lo que quedaba del Unchained Mini. Bueno, podemos hacer un repaso de qué es lo que hemos hecho, ¿no? Pero ahí viene Conrad. Buenos días. Good morning, Conrad. Estoy grabando y lo tengo con todas las... So let's... are you inside? Okay. So let's start. I think we can start with a review of what we have learned up to now about prompt engineering. So try to make a summary. Let's try to make a summary of what we have learned. And I have here the main file, no, the index.mjs that is the driver for the application. So let's review a bit. Do you remember template file? What is a template file and what it's good for and how we use templates? Can you explain to me?
Template file, una plantilla.
It's a plantilla in Spanish. Okay. So what is a template? No, the word in English is template. But so what are we doing when we talking about templates?
Which is like something more like some kind of like skeleton,
A text skeleton. So we have something like a skeleton where inside this text are some segments, some parts that are variable that will be filled later. No? And we are using template file that provides the render and the render file functions. And we use render this way. We use render, oops, yeah, or here, render. We use render this way. Prompt equal render the template string, because prompt template, and then usually in a template library you pass a second object that has the values of the variables that you are going to substitute in the template. So you are saying question will be substituted by the value of the variable question. tools will be substituted by this whole thing, and tool names will be substituted by this expression, okay? By the value of this expression. It's a placeholder, really. It's a placeholder. We are really familiar with templates because we use it in Jekyll a lot. Liquid was in this case, not a library, but a language to fill templates. So let's go back to the beginning. So this is about template, and the render file obviously is the same as render, but it reads the file directly. You pass the name of the file. M, we are familiar with M. We have been using it for a while. FS, the same, file system. And in lines 13 and 14, we read the files. So tools, what is inside the tools library that we are using? What are tools in this code?
Search engine, calculator.
Okay, there we have written the variables, the functions for the calculator and for all the tools that we are providing. In this lab, I highly recommend you to add some tool. And you can add an additional tool to this tool, so that you can exercise something. So try to provide a tool for the weather, or a tool for geolocation, or a tool for telling jokes. Okay. So when you deliver this lab, try to add some new tool. So here we have the Google search and the calculator, and basically we have also this structure that is very useful for the agent, because we are going to put in that object the name of each tool, search calculator, that is going to the key of this object, and the description that is going to be exactly the description that we are going to give to the LLM, to ChatGPT or whatever the LLM is. Okay, and all of them have. Can you see the entry, the field execute, and if you see what we are doing with this structure in line 31, this tool structure and this tool subject is to how is the word, homogenize, I think, or to make uniform the interface to the tools, so that the LLM has to only say, this is the tool that I want, this is the input for the tool that I want, and we describe what the input is. This is a general strategy in software development. In software development, because it's called, in fact, it is a pattern, and it's called a strategy pattern. You know what a pattern is in software?
Yes, something like what is different from the meaning of the actual word.
And
Is it different from the meaning of the actual word of the pattern? Is it something?
Yeah, it's a bit. I'm talking now about patterns in software development, not patterns in the general sense. Both words are really related, but
Pattern,
it's a patron. In Spanish, the word is in Spanish we will say el patrón estrategia. El patrón estrategia. Okay. Do you know what a smell is? A smell.
Yeah,
In computer science, I mean, in software development.
No,
When we say this code smells, you know what it means, this code smells? If I say, Daniel, your code smells, in Spanish, we'll say, tu código apesta, huele mal. It has a bad smell, your code. What does it mean? Do you know what the smell is in computer science?
There's something about it. Something.
Yeah, obviously, if you are saying that the code smells, is something bad, but it's more technical. The word pattern and the word smell here are much more technical than in general. When you say the code smells, it means your code is correct. It means two things. It means your code is correct. Your code has no error. Your code is working. Your code is working. So you say that a code has a smell when your code is working, but, and here comes the but your code has problems. Your code has problems. It works, but has problems. And these problems refers to this scalability of the code. It means, and this is a subject, the one we are teaching here, it's called development and maintenance of the software systems or something like that. It means your code is going to have problems in the future. Your code is going to have, because when the code grows, it's not going to grow very well. Problems will arise, or the problem will be difficult to maintain. So this is an smell. And there are many smells. For instance, one very well-known smell that I got is the coded, the copy-paste smell. Copy-paste smell. You know what the copy-paste smell is? You know what copy-paste is. This is an example of a smell. The copy-paste smell. There are many, and there are books classifying the smells. And usually in a company, in an enterprise, they will say immediately, the manager will be aware of the smell of the employees, of the code of the employees. Copy-paste smell is what we do all the time, that we see, oh, good, this is a very good solution, so I will copy it here and put it in this code. Oh, but this is a very good solution, and it comes also very well for this another code, so I will put it there, and I will put it in this other place. And months pass, and days pass, and years pass, and you keep copy-pasting that very beautiful code. And this is a bad idea. This is a very bad idea. Why? Can you see why?
Once one doesn't work, maybe in one work for the other one, so we have a reiterated problem.
Yeah. This is the reason. The reason is that maybe after 2 years, someone discovered that in that beautiful code there is an error. There is an error. Oh, it's so beautiful, but it has an error. Now you have an error spread all over the company code in many files, and you don't know where you have to go to fix the code in all those files. So copy-paste is a bad idea. The right way to do it is put this beautiful code in a library, in a module, and then use the module anytime you want to insert the code. And in this way, if 3 years later they discover that there was an error, you only have a place to go. You have to go to the library because everybody is using the library. Okay? So copy-paste is a smell. There is another smell that is, there are thousands of smells, but we are now talking about a smell that is called is called the if smell. This is a very important smell. The if smell, or the switch smell, is also known as two names. The switch smell and this may look a bit mad to you because it says to use sometimes. You have to. I have to say sometimes, not always. Sometimes, and I will explain later. Or maybe I will not explain it. But sometimes to use an if or a switch is a bad idea. It's a bad idea. And in the same way that in the other smell, it makes your code problematic in the future. To use an if or a switch can make your code problematic in the future. And this is sounds really, yeah. I like the look of Daniel's face because he's putting a look like, oh, an if can be.
No, I wasn't talking about the switch.
Or how a switch can be wrong in some cases. Not always, in some cases. Okay. And this is an example. This is where the place in which we could make in this example of prompt engineering, we can we can go into the error, into the smell, because we have many tools. Can you see? We have, we not have not many tools. We have two tools. We have a calculator and a search engine. But if we were going to production, maybe we have, three tools, and then it has success, and now we have 5 tools, and then we have more success and has 20 tools, and then has 100 tools. And we have coded our code. We have coded our code in this way. We have said something like, if the tool is the calculator, do something and something. Else, if the tool is the search engine, do something and something. Else, if the tool is the weather forecast, do something and something. Else, if the tool is whatever, is the symbolic calculator, do something and something. Else, if it is the stock exchange API, do something and something. And okay, you say, okay, that's works. If we want to add another tool, what do we have to do? We have to go to the code, go to the if, to the switch, and change the switch. Understood? But this is a bad idea, and we will discuss why. Okay.
Stop sharing.
Eh?
You let us stop sharing the screen.
Because yeah, it went to sleep. It happens sometimes. It goes to sleep.
Yeah,
It's again. Okay.
okay.
Okay. So it didn't stop the sharing. Stopped the. Yeah. It went to sleep. Okay. So this the problem with the switch, and I'm going to finish because this will take too much time. But, the problem with the switch and the if is that violates one of the fundamental principles of good programming, that is called the open-close principle. Have you the open-close principle? The open-close principle. Search in Google, open-close principle. Software. Search it. Okay. What does it say? Do you understand what it says? Tell me, what have you found in Google or whatever?
Certain software like object classes functions should be open for extension, but closed for modification.
Very, very, very good. This is the open close principle. It says that any object, function, blah, 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 module, class must be open for extension, but closed for modification. What does it mean that? Can you understand the meaning of that? It means, okay, it's a principle, so it means if you are a good programmer, you have to respect this principle, because if you don't, you are going to have a smell. Your code is not going to work well in the future. It's not going to scale. This is a principle that introduces someone called Uncle Bob, one of the most important people in software. But what is the meaning? Can you understand? How something, a function, can be open for extension or a class, but closed for modification? What does it mean?
You should always be able to add something new without changing the structure of the code. Changing the structure of the code will be a modification.
Not changing the structure of the code, but yeah, something like that. Something like that. Yeah, it's a new reformulation of the. So going back to our example, if we want to add a tool, and we have the searching tool and we have the calculator, I want to add now a tool about stock exchange. If I write if the tool is calculator, blah, 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 else if the tool is searching, blah, blah, blah. Now I have to go to the code to find the file and go to the if else if and put another else if. Do you agree? And then we are extending the code. This code was open for extension. Yes, we went to the code, we modified the code, so we have violated, because it has to be closed. You have to be able to extend the code, but without writing in that file. You cannot write in the file. In the main file, in the file. So what the open close principle implies is that you must avoid if or switch case when this code, this class, this function is going to grow in the future. It is going to grow in the future. That is our case here, because we are going to add. Oh. Yeah, of course. Go ahead. If your code is going to be extended in the future many times, then never use a switch, never use it anyhow, because it will be easier to maintain if each tool has a separated code. And that's the idea, or less. And this code is more or less well written in the sense that this structure is the structure is something like a hash, and basically, if someone wants to extend this code, it has only to add to the tools a new field and say tools dot new function equal blah blah blah, and it will work. And it can be done not in this file, but in another file. So this is the idea, and this is called the strategy pattern. The strategy pattern. This is a pattern, this is the strategy pattern, and the strategy pattern solves the if smell or the switch smell. So this is what we have in tools. Let's continue.
You're not sharing the screen.
Okay, so the screen went away. Where it is, yeah. Yeah, it's not sharing anymore. Solid. Okay. So where we were here. Okay. So let's go. This is about the tools and about the strategy pattern and the smell. That's why it builds this structure, because and you always this structure in the strategy pattern, because the strategy in our case is the tool. Each tool is a different strategy. The strategy pattern appears always that you have to do many things, and those many things can change in the future. And you say, okay, what is the strategy? Someone smart has to decide what strategy to take, and will call the function that solves that problem. That is our case. We have someone smart, in our case, the LLM. The LLM decides what it's going to do. They say, well, I'm going to use the search, or I'm going to use the calculator, or I'm going to, and the only thing that I have to call is the search. That you provide an homogeneous interface, an homogeneous API, so that you facilitate the way the controller, that is how you call the smart guy that decides the strategy, works. And this is what we are doing here with the tools structure, with the tools structure that I have lost. But that was the tools structure here. It has an entry for each strategy. Search is a strategy. Calculator is a strategy. The stock exchange will be a strategy, etc. And with description and execute, you homogenize. You make uniform the API of the call, so that you can say always tool.execute and the decision. Tools.execute and the decision. And you have to try also to that all the strategies have more or less the same interface, the same API. So more or less the arguments will be similar. It will change. Obviously, it's not the same to call Google search that to call the calculator, but to keep it uniform. Okay, very long digression. Okay, then complete prompt that has the fetch. Do you remember? How was the fetch? Can you remember to describe to me what is in Ask ChatGPT? It says Ask GPT. This file doesn't exist, no? So Ask GPT.chat. Yeah, it's here. I put it such a long. I mean, the dot is obviously an error. I wanted something like that. And I'm going to rename this. I hope there is no other place. I think because usually I never use two dots for to Ask GPT, ChatGPT, chat completions.mjs. So what is chat completions? And this is chat completion. No, okay. I see. I see. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we have two versions of this. So let's. This is the original version that we were working. This is an experiment. Okay. So what we were doing, I didn't realize, is we import complete prompt from source as ChatGPT. There are two files, and these two files use different OpenAI APIs, one for completions and one for chat completions. So, and the idea is that in this file, I import complete prompt from one or from the other, depending on what I want to experiment. Do you remember that the completion API is legacy? So the one here is the legacy one, and the one here is the new one. They say that you have to change from completions to chat completions to keep it the code updated. Okay. So what is in Ask ChatGPT MJS? Can you tell to me more or less what we do here in Ask GPT MJS? Okay. Well, let's comment this code. Hmm?
Isn't it how the API asks GPT about
We are doing a fetch, no?
see,
And this is the API for completions, the one that is legacy. Hmm? Are you seeing my?
yes,
Mhm. Oh, okay. I had to minimize again this. Hmm. That and method post, okay. Headers. In headers, what is the most important header? The one, because we want to authenticate, no? Remember that this is always with any web services. I mean, usually the authorization token is with the header authorization, and you put bearer and then the token. Okay. And then the body of the request, that has to be a string. That's why we take this object and convert it to a string. And model, what is the model? Is the large language model, no? Is the version of the large language model, Text Dmsi, Page, GPT-4, whatever. Prompts, that is the prompt, what we are asking. Max tokens. Do you remember max tokens? It says in there. The token count of your prompt plus max token cannot exceed the model's content length. Yeah, each model has a maximum number of tokens. And you are saying here, temperature, string, stop. Okay. And then we have the then, another then, and another then. What are doing these thens? What is this thens? What are? Why we are putting here a then and again a then and again a then? Can you explain to me why? Why do we do this? Then rest JSON. What makes a wait? Fetch. What kind of object returns fetch? How it is called? The object that
It's like the same object of other function bits. Like we take the answer of, for example, in our like trying to see, for example, the output of the GPT.
No, fetch really doesn't return this fetched here. Okay, in line 4.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't return the answer of that GPT. In fact, fetch uh, uh, always connects to some URL, to some server. That is the server specified in the URL. And what returns fetch? What does it return? What kind of object? A string, an object, an array? What does return fetch?
The string
No, it's not a string. This is important to remember, that fetch always return an object that is of the kind, what class is a promise. So fetch always return a promise. And a promise is a kind of object that has several methods. Has the then method, has the catch method, has several methods. Basically, then, catch, finally. Okay, that's why you, since it has returned a promise, and you await for the promise to hold. When you say await, it means I will wait for the promise to be fulfilled or rejected. Okay? Because a promise, we said, has several states. It can be pending. That means the promise, I don't know. It has not been decided what is going to be. The promise of what? A promise can be a promise of something. A promise, I promise I'll give you the number 3. And it's a promise of 3. When I give you the number 3, then the promise is fulfilled. But if I change my mind and say, no, I'm not going to give you the number 3, then the promise is rejected. And here we are connecting to the OpenAI server, and fetch returns a promise that the connection will work and will be fine. It's not a promise of what the OpenAI is going to return, or what the URL, what the server. It's a promise that the connection. So this await fetch waits for the OpenAI server to connection to fulfill, and it fulfilled, and it returns a new promise. It returns an object that is a new promise. That's why we can say, okay, no, well, this promise returned by fetch, is a promise that the connection, and gives an object that is this res from here. But the response of OpenAI hasn't arrived yet. That's why we use res.json, because res.json is a function that again returns a promise, and is a promise of the result of OpenAI. So the first one is a promise of the connection. The second one is a promise of the result. So that's why, since it is a promise, since this is a promise, the returned value, you can use then. And this is the rest value is the actual result given by OpenAI, the JSON object, and this is why we are now can take res.choices.0.text, and there is really in that part of the object is where the answer of And then again, this return a promise, and the promise, we simply write this code, console log red prompt, console log green res, and that's why when we get the full thing, we write the prompt and we write the whole response object, and we return the response object. Okay, and we wait for all this thing to be finished. In fact, here to make it better, we will have to add something like dot catch and something like R, and then something like console error, error, and then maybe a process exit more than go away process exit 1. Because if ChatGPT is not working, maybe it's not worth to continue. Okay. But I can put here dot catch because the value returned by this thing is a promise. Yeah, it's a bit difficult, but okay, let's go again to the index. So what we are doing here is using the OpenAI engine to make the fetch. We are doing here the fetch. The fetch returns a promise, but when the promise is fulfilled, we all wait for the promise, for all the promises to be fulfilled, for the JSON, for the connection, for the JSON. We look at the JSON, and then we return the value, and the value will be returned by the complete prompt function. But here, really, we only export the complete prompt function. This is another version, and that is in the other file, that instead of using the complete API, uses the chat completion API. And then we have this auxiliary function, okay, that is answer question. That is really where we do most of the work. But let's go to the main loop and explain to me the main loop, lines 62 to 85. So that is, what are we doing there? It's a loop while true, so we are forever. It seems that it's not being used anymore. So it's a while true loop. We stay there forever until what? What we do in the loop? We write a question. How can I help? And wait for the user to answer. Okay, using this so when we say node index.mjs, okay, what happens is that that appears, how can I help? And it's waiting. And since we are using real line, we can use the arrows to remember our past conversations, our past inputs, and things like that. We can use the addition. This is what we are doing here. Let's question, await RL question, how can I help? And then what do we do? Line 66. No, line 66.
Mhm. If there's no question, then
Yeah, if I answer with a career return and write nothing, it ends, process exits. Okay, it's simple to understand. So that's what we are doing in line 66. And line 68 is what I think you were talking about. If this is not the first question, if it is there were previous questions, we are going to do something. But we are going to avoid this thing. We are not going to. In fact, what in these lines that I have folded in line 68 to 79, basically what we do is if there were previous questions, think about it and reformulate the question according to the history of our previous questions. So this is the idea. The idea is that if you already answered some questions, we are having a chat and the chat now has a history, and maybe you are now know that whatever, that I asked you for something and you know the answer to something. So don't go again to find the answer to something because it's in the past, it's in the chat conversation. So to keep the context, and we say we reformulate. So maybe at line 80, question is no longer the question that the user did, because in line 68 to 79, that we are not going to explore it now. What we do is basically if you can, reformulate the question and not leave the question as it is. Mhm. So again, after this, there has to be a question because or it has been reformulated here, or in fact, there will always be a question. So this probably is a consequence of experiments because like it is now, it's like that. We ask the function answer question. We call the function answer question. That is the one that is really going to try to answer the question and write the answer to the screen and puts in history your answer, a new item. That is your answer to question was answered. So that we will provide in the future that this question was formulated in the past and that was the answer. And for that, we are going to use the merge template that, assuming we know the following fact, history is going to be interpolated with all the history of the questions, like an array, one or another. All these, your answer to question was answered. It's going to be interpolated here, as many as there are. And that you have to answer the question, reformulate the question using the following format for your output. New question, your reformulated question. Okay, this what we are going to deal in this line, 68-79, but let's leave it there. So let's go to answer question. What do you understand here? See that it's an async function because you have to wait for the ChatGPT answer. So that's why it's an async and receives the question. Okay. What are we doing in lines 26, 32? 26, 32. Who is prompt template? Who is prompt template? Which one?
the structure we talked about before that gives us everything, with the
Yeah, is the file prompt txt, but it's a string. Prompt template is a string. It's an ordinary string, and it's the string containing this text that we have, the prompt txt. Answer the following, you have, and then two curly brackets, tools, close, use the following format, a bracket, curly brackets, tool names. But this is to prompt template. Prompt template is the string. Okay. So what we are doing here in line 26, we are filling the template. We are saying tools is going to be substituted by this. Question is going to be substituted by question. Question is going to be substituted by the question. Tools is going to be substituted by this. And tool names will be substituted by this. Okay? So tool names is going to be substituted. We go to the object tools, we see the keys and join them by commas. But the tools object has as keys search and calculator. If you join search and calculator by commas, it will say search, comma, calculator. Okay? So this is what we are doing here in these lines, because tool name is going to be substituted by the keys. And tool is going to be substituted by something more complicated. We make a map in the keys. Object keys of tool will be I don't know how it was, search and calculator. No, one was search and calculator, $tool name, search, dos puntos, column, tools tool name description. Search is a tool that is very useful to find current events. You have to add as input, blah, blah, blah. And we join in by career return. So it will be first tool, a line, second tool, a line, third tool, a third line, fourth tool, fourth line. And this way we fill the template. And then we go, after that, we go to a new loop that is the inner loop that calls complete prompt. That is the fetch. This is the fetch. You see, we are asking the question, the user question, but what question are we asking? The prompt. We are not asking the original question of the user. We are asking the prompt. That is, we are writing all this field, and at the end we write question. This is the question of the user. But we are writing, answer the following question as best you can. You have to access to the following tool, blah, 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 blah. Use the following format, question, blah, 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 blah. The question is question. So what we are asking to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT, obviously, here is the actual response, because we all have been waiting for the fetch, for the JSON. We have found where the solution is. And of course, since now we, no, not this, it was this. Since we are now put a catch here, even if there is an error, we have existed the problem, so nothing to do. But so here is the, and we of course put in, showing the screen the response. This is the response to the prompt, to the general prompt of ChatGPT, and we say we add to the prompt the response. So now ChatGPT has answered following the format that we say. We say follow this format, and he has filled some fields here. Plan. Yeah, has added a plan. He has added an action. He has added an action input, maybe or maybe not, because maybe it decided, I know the answer. There is no need for an action. There is no need for an action input. Okay? So that's why we concatenate the previous prompt, the initial prompt, with the response of ChatGPT, being confident that ChatGPT is following our instructions. If ChatGPT doesn't follow the instructions, then it will be shit. It will be a mess. And then what we are doing here in line 43, this is a regular expression that we repeat twice in line 43 and 55. It's more or less similar. What we are doing here, look at the prompt, action input. Look at the prompt. In action, ChatGPT has to fill it with the action to take. Should be one of search or calculator. An action input has to fill the input of the action. So what may happen after ChatGPT has answered the first question? It can happen many things, but what more or less can happen?
There are answers.
Yeah, please.
He's doing the correct tool.
ChatGPT, we gave orders to ChatGPT in the prompt, we gave orders to ChatGPT to put in action the action to take. That should be one of search or calculator. So if ChatGPT has followed our instructions, ChatGPT has elaborated a plan and has filled the plan here in line 8. And maybe ChatGPT has thought, I know the final answer for this is this, so no need to use tools. And in such case, there will be an action, or will be empty. Will be empty. If depending on what GPT does, but the idea, in fact, we can explain more to ChatGPT about this, but the idea is that if there is no need to use the calculator or there is no need to use the search, the action will be empty, or even there will be no field action, and there will be no field action input. But if ChatGPT decides that it needs to use one of the tools, then the action will be filled with search or calculator, and the action input will be filled with something like the president of Poland or 4+3.
So response isn't equal answer. Response is not equal to answer, because I thought at the beginning that answer and the response may be similar to
answer.
Like terminology only, because I thought like
no,
the answer and
no. Response is an object. It's a JSON. Response is in fact. Well, no. Response now is the full string with all this thing. Look that here in AskGPT.js we get the full response. Here is an object, is a JSON object, but no, sorry. Here in line 28 is a JSON object, and here is we took res choices 0.text that is a string, and is the string is the actual string with the answer. So here, return res, we are returning since res choice is 0 dot text, because this value from here is the value received here. You have to understand that the res JSON that is returned here is received here, and res choice is 0 dot text that is returned here is received here. So res here is the text, and this text follows the prompt, follows the, where it is, okay, follows the prompt. Is ChatGPT is thinking correctly. It follows the prompt. So when you have here response is a string, is a string, and is a string according, and that's why we concatenate to the previous prompt, to the initial prompt, we concatenate the response, because we are confident that ChatGPT is returning something like action, search, colon, search, action input. Who is the president of Poland? Mm-hmm. So we believe, or we hope, we expect that after line 41, prompt will have what ChatGPT says that we have to do. And that's why here, in response, that is the response that is a string, we can use match, because match is a method of the string. And we say, okay, maybe ChatGPT has put the action field, but maybe not. If ChatGPT didn't put the action field, what does it mean? It means that he thinks, or she thinks, or it thinks that it knows the answer. But if has filled this, it means that that here in what matches the repetition of any characters, the repetition of any character, here is the name of the tool, that it has written search or it has written calculator. And so with this line, we are trying to find what does it says after the column. That maybe nothing, maybe search, maybe calculator. Did you understand?
Yes, I understand that.
Okay.
I was only confused because of the language, English language, because response is something similar to that answer. Because, for example,
response here. Okay, response here is the response of ChatGPT.
Yes,
but only the text, only the text. But you use also response or answer. Yeah, both words are more or less similar. Yeah. So understood what line 43 does? Okay. So what can be the values of action after line 43? Calculator or search or nothing, or null, or in fact I rather prefer here to write instead, because star means 0 or more repetitions. Do you know that in regular expression an star means 0 or more repetitions? For instance, I say no, let's say hello or a for punto matches, and let's say I'm going to copy this same regular expression, and I'm going to write action semicolon 4 and matches this is regular expression. Much is not much. Sorry, not much is much. Okay, it's going to match 4 because the asterisk after action, those column, black, white space, what appears is the 4. So the 4 is going to match this part of the regular expression that is going to appear in position 1 because it's the first parenthesis. But if I say action 4 and I put another white space or 3 white space, you will see that the array contains in position 1 the white spaces. Okay? And if I put nothing after action, column, and only the white space, then in position 1 will appear the empty string. Can you see? If I put a plus, okay, it will appear null because it says, okay, it has to be at least 1 character. A plus means repetition of at least 1, and a star means 0 or more, plus means 1 or more, and there is not 1 or more, it's 0, because I put nothing. Okay, understood? So it depends on what you want, but you have to be aware that since we have put here a star, it means that can be 0 characters. And here we are saying, no, sorry, here. It can be 0 characters. And we are saying, okay, if action, that means if matches, if this matches, this string matches something, we have to say that, okay, it's prone to error. It's some weakness in the code here. Maybe it's better to put them up plus. So if I put a plus, it will not match if it is empty. And if it is empty, action will be null, and you will say final answer, which is correct because the tool. But anyhow, action can be or nothing, or search, or calculator, because this is what we took in the first position of the array. And so we are saying, okay, let's, if ChatGPT is smart, that we believe that ChatGPT is smart, and put something in action, surely put something in action input, because we gave it instructions to say, if you decide to use the search, then in action input, you have to put the query. And if you decided the action is the calculator, then in the action input, you have to put the expression, the arithmetic expression, square root of 45. Huh? So action input is going to have the 45 if it was the calculator. So let's go to the action input field and see what has been written here. Can you see? And this is what we are going to do now. We are going to say, okay, go to action input, go to response, and look where appears action input white space, and look to see what is after the okay, and I put it here. This is because you say maybe he has put it in between double quotes, or maybe it didn't put the double quotes. So we are not sure. So we say maybe it comes a double quote, maybe not. So that's what the question mark means in a regular expression. Means it can appear, but it cannot appear. Okay, so let's say, okay, I'm going to copy again this regular expression and say something like action input column 2 plus 3. Okay. Oops. Then I had to put in this action input 2 plus 3. Punto match. Punto match and this regular expression. Okay, I'm going to copy the regular expression. Command C, Command O, V. And in this case, what is going to match the parentheses? 2 plus 3. Okay, because I said if it comes a double quote, it's okay. If it comes a double quote at the end, it's also okay. So in position 1 of the array appears 2 plus 3. Can you see? But also, if you don't write the double quotes here, it will work again because of this interrogation double quote. So in position 1, it will appear again 2 plus 3. So it's a very smart regular expression to catch exactly what the user not, but sorry, the LLM, what ChatGPT has written there. Do you understand what line 49 is doing? So we are taking here if I say action input square root of 45, let's say we asked for the square root of 45. That the tool was calculator and ChatGPT wrote even between quotes. Let's say it wrote it between double quotes. Action input square root of 45. In position 1 will appear square root of 45. Okay? So this regular expression here is only to catch what ChatGPT has written after action input. So we know that action is calculator or something or such, and action input, we already have it here because we have used this regular expression, and now we have the value of action input. This is a console log to say, okay, we have decided that action and blah, 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 and we are going to, but what is important now is line 52. What we are doing here in line 52, tools, action trim. What is action trim? What is action? What is inside action?
Like the string.
The string, and what kind of a string in our case could be? Action is?
The response.
No, action. What is action?
Oh, action. The tool.
The tool. Yes. So is the string? What the string is? Search or calculator?
Yes, yes.
In our case. So, but maybe it is not a string, it's not search, but is something like white space search. Because I don't know, because ChatGPT wrote a few white space before and a few white space after. So the method trim, as you see, removes the white spaces. And we want to be sure that there is no white space because we are going to index the tools object in tools strings, tools string. You see? And if you put white spaces, there is no entry in the tools object called white space, search white space. We want the tool that is in search. Let's see. I am going to do it. Tools equal, I don't know if this going to require source tools MJS. No, it can not import as Maxis mode. Okay. Yeah. I cannot find. Okay. Where am I? I'm here. Okay. Yeah. But this is an XC. Okay. But anyhow, if you remember the tools, okay, the key is search, not white space search, and the key is calculator, not white space calculator. So what is now in tools action trim? Action trim has removed the white spaces. So if ChatGPT wrote, if ChatGPT wrote a search between white spaces, we have removed it. But maybe ChatGPT went a bit mad and wrote search in uppercase. That's why we call also to lowercase and say, okay, I want to be sure there is no two white spaces, there is no uppercase letter in the, because I know search has to be in lower cases, okay? So what is tool search? Tool search, if we go to the tools again, it's open. Here. Tool search is the subject. Can you see? Is the subject. Tool search is the subject. And tools calculator is the subject. Okay? So here, where am I? No, not here. So here, tools action trim lowercase is that object. If it is search, is the search object. And this object has an attribute called execute. Can you see it? It has an attribute execute. It's an execute. And what is execute? Execute is the function. Execute is the function. So when I'm saying tools and search and dot execute is the function, and I'm calling the function with the argument action input. So it will say 2 plus 3, the string 2 plus 3, if it was the calculator because it was in action input, or would say the president of Poland, if it was the president of Poland, if it was the search tool. Can you see? So what we are doing here, we are calling the function. And since we are not really sure of what is returning the function, maybe it returns a value, but maybe it returns a promise. Because if it is the search function was also a fetch, and a fetch, what does it return a fetch? A promise. So we say, in any case, if it is a number, oh, wait for the number, wait for 4, nothing. But if it isn't a number, if it is fetch for search, wait for the search to end. And so here, what is in result? Explain to me what is in result. Now again, result, answer, response. What is in result?
La salida de llamar.
Eso es. La salida de llamar la función sobre el objeto, como la función.
Sorry, in English.
Is the output.
The output provides the function of the object.
Yeah, we have called the calculator function, or we have called the search function. If we call it search function, the answer is what Google answer. So what is in response is the Google answer. President of Poland, and you, that, I don't know. Duda. No, Mr. Duda. Okay. Or if it was, the calculator is 6. 3 plus 3 is 6. Okay? So result has the result of the tool. 6, Pedro Sanchez. So now we add to the prompt a new field because the prompt is full of fields. And we say, in the instructions we gave to ChatGPT, we told to ChatGPT that we are going to write the result of the tool in the field called observation. In fact, we can change that field instead of observation. We will say the tool result is column, whatever. And we put it there, result. So in this way, in the next round, ChatGPT is going to look at the field observation and say, okay, so the president of Poland is Duda. The square root of 47 is, I don't know, 6 point something.
It is like leaving clues behind for the tool for the next one. It is like leaving some clues for the tool for the next one.
It's not a clue, it's an answer. It's an answer, is the answer of the tool. Okay. Maybe in the case of the calculator, for instance, or in the case of Google, maybe the answer is a wrong answer. Maybe we ask Google for the president of Churilandia, or I don't know, Churilandia, or the president of some country, and Google, not usual, but Google give the wrong answer. Or maybe we ask the calculator the square root of -1, and it said error. I can't compute the. But in fact, we trick the tool in that case. If it is the calculator, we did this trick. We said, okay, if the calculator cannot compute it, in observation will appear. Please reformulate your expression. The calculator tool has failed with some error. So don't write a square root in uppercase because it gives this error. So think again. But this is why we are feeling in observation. Observation has the result of the tool. And we said in the prompt, if you remember, we said in the prompt, in the observation field will be the result of the action. We tell that ChatGPT that the observation field is going to have the result of the action. So it knows. And since now it knows, it will look at the next question, and the next question will be with the prompt again. When we ask for with the prompt, it's going to know that the square root of 46 is something, because it looks at the observation and okay, the square root of 40 is something. Okay, but if action was null, then it means that ChatGPT doesn't want to use no one of our tools. Then what it is? It is that he knows the final answer, no? Probably. So in such a case, we look, because we told also ChatGPT, when you are sure you know the final answer, fill this field. Fill this entry. Fill this entry. So it's not asking us to use an action. Well, we don't know, but if ChatGPT is saying something has to be in the field final answer, so again we repeat the same trick. What is after final answer? That will be the final answer. Okay? Understood? Okay, so make a summary. Make a brief summary, both of you. Venga, first, Conrad, what you have learned.
From the beginning, yes.
Yeah, from the very beginning. Everything from the very beginning.
So we get the templates that we are feeding later with correct, like things that we want to put in. For example, yeah, tool, a question, and I don't remember very well. Yeah, not saying like that. Then we are waiting for like users prompts. So the question, how can I help you? Other than type prompting, type prompting. Right, and that we have like three different, I guess, not three different, like get something more happening. For example, yeah, nothing concrete. And then the question, if we write something, is proceeds further, and that is later out of the. That is the question that is later turned into our response. That is then proceeded depending on what tool do we use to solve this. Yeah, so like do something with the response to answer the question.
That's all. Good. Daniel, share your screen and explain things. Sharing the screen. I'm going to dejar de presentar the presentation. Share your screen and explain make a summary.
Have to next for because
Yeah, we are seeing your screen and try to minimize that and comment the code.
shall I add one? What shall I add on what Conrad said?
Yeah, explain your view of how does it work.
No more than what Conrad said.
Yeah, I know that Conrad said, but I want to hear your opinion and what you have learned. So, yeah, of course, next time that I put an exam, you can say it's like the Conrad one. Go to the Conrad and review the Conrad one.
No. I said, we have a template, as Conrad said, which is an added tool in order to solve the problem we have here. Well, that's not a problem, actually. The template gives us like a structure we have to follow when we use the API of the API use a structure in order to give us a response to the command we gave. First, it saves what we gave them as a question. It searches for the tool to solve that question. It can be, in this case, the calculator, the search engine, or nothing at all. And then it gives the values to the different functions we need to call the code, and it will return different outputs as objects in the output of the function. Result in this case, we want to talk about both. Let's say calculator, if we open 3 plus 3, we will give 3 plus 3 as an argument. Por un lado, por otro lado, llamar a calculator, also call the calculator tool, and it will give us an answer in the structure of the
road we have planned before.
Okay. Okay.
More like,
No, it's okay.
si la herramienta que llamamos estaba más escrita, with spaces o lowercase, uppercase, we have to filtrar eso para que de la forma correcta lo entienda el código.
Which line are you talking about? Can you specify a point to the line?
Line 52.
Uh-huh.
This one is the one which no sé si which standardizes the way we call the boot.
So what is in result in line 52?
In line 52 is the output of calling the function on the object. So we give the input for the action a la herramienta que hemos creado. On the object response.
What is in tools action trim to lowercase? What is the result of the expression tools action trim to lowercase between brackets? What is that?
The input
is a string tools action trim. No, my question is what is the value of the expression? What type is and what is the value of the expression tools bracket action trim? Yeah. Is a string. Tools action trim to lowercase is a string.
No, tools is a function.
Tools is a function. Is a function. No, tools is not a function. Tools, only tools, is an object. It's a very complex object. But my question is, what is tools open bracket action dot trim function call to lowercase function call bracket? What is that? Is a string? Is another thing? Is a function?
This is an object. This is the action we gave. On that, we iterate by trimming and set it into lowercase.
What is action trim to lowercase once is computed? Can you say, you can say, because it depends. You can say like people from Galicia. It depends. Okay, but it can has only two values. What values can have? Or three values, to be exact. Huh?
The values for action.
Action dot string dot lowercase to lowercase.
Can be a string. Can be just an integer.
No, it never can be an integer. Action dot string. In fact, if you are using dot string, it means that it's a string. Obviously, action dot string is a string, but that is not my question. My question is what a string is. What is the value of the string? What is the value of that string? It can have only two values. So tell me the values of search or calculator. It can only be search or calculator in our case. So there it says tool search or says tool calculator. And what is tool calculator? That's my question. Tools calculator, what is it? Is a string? Is an object? Is a function? Tool calculator. If action string to lowercase is calculator, tools calculator. Tools calculator. What is it? Is a string? Is an object? Is a function? Is an object. Is an object. Okay. What fields has that object? Has two fields. It's an object. You are saying the truth. Yeah, it has two fields. One field is description. The other is The other you can find it easily because it's there, it's in front of your nose. One is description, the other, no. Read line 52, dots, you can see that has two fields. One is description that I'm telling you. You can go to tools if you want. The other is go to tools, go to the tools file on the right. Okay. Calculator has two fields. One is description. The other is execute. The other field is named execute. Search has two fields. One is description. The other? No, the other is execute. The value of execute is the function to execute. If I ask you for the fields, you have to tell me the names of the fields. Okay. So, tools action seen to lowercase is an object. And this object has two fields. One is description and one is execute. Okay. And execute tools calculator dot execute what it is, a string, a number, dot execute what type has. What is the type of dot execute? Is our now you can say it, Daniel. Execute is always, what is always execute? Go to tools. It's a function. It's always a function. We are calling the function, which, what is the argument? Go back to the index line. Go back to the index. What is the argument that we pass? Action input. Okay. And what is the type of action input? Always string. It's a string. Is the string 2 plus 3? Notice, be conscious that we don't pass 2 plus 3 or no, we pass the string 2 plus 3. Because calculator is a function that takes the string 2 plus 3 and evaluates the function 2 plus 3. But it takes a string as input. And the same with the search tool. The search tool takes as input a string. So action input is always a string. Because this is what we say, I erased the whiteboard before, but about the strategy pattern to make uniform the interface. So you always call execute. You don't realize, can you see that we don't say if search call to the search function, else if calculator call the calculator function. We say always call execute. Always with the string action input. And this is essential for the strategy pattern. In the strategy pattern, you make uniform the interfaces of all the strategies. In this case, strategy is the same as tool. Okay. Okay, continue. Continue, Daniel. Where we were in line 52. What is the reason for line 53? 3. Well, the 5 and the 3, the one after the line 52.
The part of the four from with the field observation with the output.
Yeah, I know. The prompt is we concatenated, but what is the meaning? What is it for? What we are doing that? What consequences will have? No. Why? What is the purpose of the observation field?
Observation have multiple observations, and from this final answer.
Observation has to hold the observation field in the prompt.
Is that field is being made for the result of
Uh-huh. For the result
of
the
the function we got before, like
of the tool. Okay. So we have negotiated with ChatGPT at the beginning. This is the essential in the prompt engineering. You first start the conversation negotiating with the large language model, and you say, okay, this is the premises, this is the context, and the conversation has to follow this pattern, and you have to keep with this pattern, but I promise that I'm going to follow that pattern also. And we told it, at that time, we told it that the observation field has, what has the observation field?
that measure contains person.
Go to the prompt.txt file, and you will say that the observation field has the result of the action, the result of the tool. Okay. So if we have to keep with our promise, with our contract, that we are going to follow these rules, we have to hold also our part of the contract, because the large language model is holding it. We have to follow the pattern. And the pattern says, oh, no. The result of the action, the result of the tool is you have to fill it in the observation field. That's why this is the purpose of line 53. It was 53, where, because, okay, 53. Okay. So now in the next round, when ChatGPT is listening, it will look at the last observation field and say, the president of Poland is Andrew Duda. Okay. Okay. What if we are in line 55? What happened if we are in line 55?
If we didn't go with the if,
Action was false, obviously. It was null. So
then we just
if action is null or false or
well,
it's nothing. Yeah, action is nothing. So why action is nothing? What has happened?
we didn't put any input. There's no input, so there's no action.
There is
There's no
action is empty or null or whatever. And if action is null or whatever, what does it mean?
that there was no need to use a tool, or that there wasn't a tool to solve it.
Yeah, that ChatGPT decided that there was no need to use a tool.
Maybe because we already have done.
Okay, that's thinking. Maybe because it thinks that it has the answer. Because if there is no need for it to use a tool, is because it has the answer. So what happens if we are in line 55? That action was null. If action was null, ChatGPT didn't need any tool. So what was the compromise in the pattern, in the prompt template? What was the compromise? When you know the final answer, you write a field final answer with the answer. So if it doesn't want any rules, maybe there has to be a field final answer. Can you see line 14, final answer? The final answer to the original input question, okay? So this is the way we are thinking in the code. We say, if there is no index.js, if you are in line action, it didn't ask for us to do nothing. So we have to return response. Maybe it will be better to say, okay, let's check that really ChatGPT wrote final answer, blah, blah, blah. And if it doesn't, then we don't know really what's going on. This is the history of our conversation, but something odd is happening. But if ChatGPT is more or less working okay, it will be a field final answer, and the final answer will be the phrase ChatGPT wrote after the column, after the final answer column, and we are returning that what matches the expression regular in the parentheses. Okay. Mm-hmm.
And then the next loop, the first checks that we are actually giving a question, if not, it ends the process. And this next part, then makes it.
Okay, and I think we are already on time, no? Because it's 10:24, so we are past the time. We can leave it here. Okay, good. So more or less, no? More or less, do you understand? Huh?
A lot of concepts.
A lot of concepts, yeah. I know it's a lot of concepts. That's why we are repeating this, because we say, no. Although you have the full code and you can name the full code, it's difficult to understand. There are many concepts. Okay.
We are getting familiar with the language.
Yeah, and you are getting familiar with the language. Are you familiar with Python? No. No.
Yeah, quite.
Maybe in Europe they usually use Python.
Because we can use Python.